I think the most unusual thing about not having a colon, a rectum or an anus has to be this whole bag situation. I mean, it really does take some getting used to, but it's been about 9 years now since my ileostomy surgery, so it's a bit like breathing and blinking. But just to give you guys a bit of context, this bag is like a lifeline, and I empty into my bags. That's how I go number 2 now, right? So I had ulcerative colitis. I was given pretty bad advice now, and I realized that. After getting this diagnosis, I went back to my GP and I saw multiple doctors there, but they all said, eat whole plant foods. They put emphasis on whole grains, and they all said little and often. So smaller, regular meals throughout the day. So don't ever rest your gut. Basically, you have a disease in your digestive tract where food passes. It's directly impacting your disease in your colon. Just never stop eating, all right? And also, while you're at it, just eat a load of fiber, because that doesn't break down. Fiber, fiber, fiber. It's a bit of a cliche, but you get on Google and it's always the same. Diverticulosis, just increase fiber. You got Crohn's, eat a load of fiber. Oh, you got a gut issue, well, you just need to eat constantly, all the time, lots of variations, a balanced diet.
Here's what happened.
Took my doctor's dietary advice and the drugs. A few years later, I was dying and had to have my whole colon removed.
It's gone.
Obviously, I recovered. They were happy for me to go home, and I couldn't wait to get back to eating a load of normal food that wasn't hospital mush, the stuff that they serve you. And after your surgery as well, they want to try you on soft foods. They're not going to give you fibrous foods, right?
That's crazy!
Anyway, I went back home and I started to eat a mixed diet, a balanced diet, right? Many of the foods that I ate were whole plant foods, and I thought I was doing a pretty good thing. In the beginning, it was very, very strange. And I think one of the most interesting things is having this very unique insight. So I get to see what food looks like as it would enter my colon. And it's very important to understand that whatever you've eaten, by the point that the food is now going into the bag, I've absorbed all the nutrients, right? We do that in the small intestine. So how food looks, you would think that it would break down in the stomach, right? Well, interestingly, what I started to notice was all of these plant foods, however I finish chewing them, they do not change. So I'm eating combinations of things, roast dinners where you got some chicken breast and some roast lamb or something like that, roast potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, and then you've got vegetables, broccoli, carrots, peas, for example. We pour gravy over it. And so I'm chewing this all in the same way, right? The meat, the veg, that kind of thing, until, just like everybody does, I think, until you're comfortable enough to swallow it, and then you work on your next mouthful. After a few hours of eating, my bag starts to work. I'm starting to see like large segments of plant material, plant foods.
You sure about that?
People are like, oh, you're not chewing your food properly. I've swallowed massive chunks of steak, and I've never ever seen even a portion of steak in my bag. It's just liquid like that. And so the whole idea that red meat gets stuck in your colon, it rots in your colon and it causes obstructions is an absolute fallacy, right? I know this absolutely 100% fact. From that roast dinner, I could have grabbed my partner, Lucy, and she's been somewhere else for the day. I could say, right, I had a roast dinner. Have a look at my bag, right? There's a peep window. Tell me what vegetables I ate today. Well, she could tell me, there's some peas, some broccoli florets in there, and, the bits of carrot. You see the colors, you see the shapes. And so if it hasn't broken down, how beneficial really was that? But I never ever saw chicken breast or roast beef or lamb, right? So I keep exploring and I keep experimenting with all these foods. And no matter what animal products I ate, they were all liquid, which then would have entered the colon. You reabsorb that water and the sodium, and eventually you're going to pass a small amount of waste. And what I started to do was cut pyramid shapes into pieces of pineapple and mango and red meat, and small enough so I was confident that it wouldn't cause an obstruction. I swallowed these pyramid shapes, and sure enough, there in the bag is the pineapple and the mango, but red meat. It's just broken down and absorbed. When it comes to plant foods, I thought that that's where we got most of the nourishment from.
We made it up. Pure fiction.
I thought that that's where we got all of the vitamins and minerals, and that they were so crucial and so vital, especially fiber, right? Fiber has sort of been linked to all these great health outcomes according to all these so-called scientific studies. But can you believe that fiber is just not vital? It's non-essential by definition. Lots of sugar, we can't digest or make use of. It's absolutely pointless. It all ends up down the toilet. It's worth just mentioning about fungi. So obviously they're not the same as plants, having the same cellulose and lignin structures to prop them upright. They contain chitin, but it's equally as gas promoting, and they do not break down whatsoever. Mushrooms are absolutely terrible. It's very telling when I saw all of these plant materials, the state that they were in, as they would enter the organ that was very diseased, and very vulnerable. I'm thinking like, well, no wonder it got so bad. All these nuts and seeds I was eating, all of the brown rice and the mushrooms and the onions, etc. Not only are they gas promoting, but it's just very egregious on these vulnerable spots, these ulcers and things. And after a while, unfortunately, I didn't realize it at the time, but my colon was slowly but surely coming out of me. And that's why I had emergency surgery to intervene on that before I was in dire straits. I had to lose my colon to finally find out what the proper human diet was. First of all, if it's not local, don't eat it. If it's a plant, cook it to death or make sure it's ripe if it's a fruit or something that you're going to eat raw as it is. The least inflammatory food is fatty red meat. It's the most ancestrally consistent food. We've eaten it since the beginning of time. They're painted all over cave walls. If you know anything about stable isotope ratio analysis, you'll know that modern humans have eaten and based their diets around mostly fatty ruminant meat throughout history. All types of populations, all types of ethnicities. It doesn't matter whether you're a baby, whether you're 80 years old, whether you're a woman, whether you're pregnant, whether you're breastfeeding. It does not matter. If you are human, this is your species appropriate diet. If you have gut issues, IBD, IBS, diverticulosis, even celiac, all of this kind of stuff, you definitely want to remove lectins from your diet. So whole grains, tomatoes, cauliflower, legumes, right? Things like that, nuts, seeds. Get rid of the lectins because they can open the tight junctions in your gut, and this can offset autoimmunity. And that's what I had. But you may have lupus or Hashimoto's. It's all autoimmune. You want to get rid of the lectins, get rid of the dairy because casein protein can also do this. You want to stop consuming things like seed oils, alcohol, anything that's not ancestrally appropriate, anything that's going to be inflammatory on the gut. The seed oils are a problem because there's an oxidized polyunsaturated fatty acid. They're also not very clean foods. And again, we've been consuming these as human beings maybe for the last century. If you think genetics are perhaps 300,000 years old. So that's quite a shock to the body. You definitely want to focus on sealing your gut. And the best way is to do a combination of eating only fatty ruminant meat, right? So beef, lamb, venison, buffalo, whatever you get your hands on. Fat's very important, by the way. And also rest the gut. So you don't want to be eating like multiple times every single day, not to be conspiratorial, but we've been lied to about a lot of things. The food guidelines, if you look into this, Ansel Keys, just the history, the shady history around Ellen G. White, John Harvey Kellogg. I can't believe we still are able to sell Kellogg's cornflakes. If you just look into the history, it's all available. It's not even a conspiracy, it's just reality. Recently, I'm making videos to try and reach people that are interested in something that works, that they haven't already tried. Please don't try and micromanage your biome. It's said that certain foods feed the gut. No, every single thing you put in your body feeds your gut. You need to think about what it is that you're putting in your body. I've never seen a banana grow here naturally, so why would I be eating a banana, right? First of all, it's just a load of sugar and indigestible sugars being the fiber, which is all non-essential. There's no essential plants, carbs, fibers, polyphenols, zero, right? They don't exist in reality. And bananas don't exist here naturally in the UK. So to eat a banana is very strange. It's chaotic information to the body because there's light information in that food that doesn't match my postcode, if you like. So first of all, everything you eat should always be local, right? Everything you drink should really be water. But in terms of food, you should be basing your diet around fatty animal nutrition. This is what our ancestors did. If you go out into the wild, how are you not going to be in ketosis? Unless you're just living right near the equator and just constantly eating fruit, which I would not recommend. It's just sugar and indigestible sugars, anti-nutrients, toxins, right? You're not eating a complete array of nutrition. It's devoid of nutrition. Plants, certainly just fruit, is destitute of essential nourishment. I'm basically in a situation now where I'm no longer depressed because I only eat fatty ruminant meat and wild fish. This situation that I found myself in led to depression based on my disposition, my personality and traits. They just didn't seem very compatible with this physical outcome, even though I should be grateful. And I kind of was, like it did save my life to have this surgery. I did become quite bitter and angry and reactive. It's unfair. Like, why me? I'm ugly. I can't sleep. then it's a vicious loop. I had no idea that it's not as much about your circumstances as it is about your inputs, your diet and your lifestyle. If you're interested in feeling like a proper, robust human being for the first time in your life, if you're interested in optimal health and longevity, if you're interested in sealing your gut and getting on with a very healthy, positive life, then I would suggest basing your diets around local, ruminant fatty red meat, eggs if you can tolerate, fish if you can tolerate, dairy, fermented if you can tolerate. If you have autoimmunity or gut issues, get rid of all dairy, get rid of all plants, slowly but surely, and eat a high-fat lion diet and start to fast. It's important for your body to be able to heal. If you're eating and digesting food, how on earth is your gut going to seal and heal? And how are you going to get in remission and stay there? It's very, very unlikely. Just take it from me, someone who nearly lost their life and had to have their colon removed. It's not as simple as just eat a balanced diet. Lots of people are going to be saying, just eat a balanced diet. Oh, you were unlucky. This is a rare case. Just eat a balanced diet. That balanced diet should not include Oreos and alcohol and seed oils, and it shouldn't include anything that's not local. So honestly, take a piece of paper and a pen and write down all the foods that you can think of that you can access right now. That's what you should be eating, and I guarantee you it's mostly animals and fatty animal nutrition. The best way to go is a high-fat lion diet, nose-to-tail style, and just make your way through a cow, basically. That's what I recommend. Hopefully this video has been interesting. Feel free to, pop in the comments any sort of suggestions about other videos around this, because I don't often make a lot of content specifically based around IBD or my situation. I kind of make videos to try and reach people and inspire them to just think and plant seeds, because you have to meet people where they're at. I don't try to force anything on anyone, and I think we're all on our own journey, and in that, we're together. If you're doing carnivore, there's a good chance that someone in your life thinks you've lost the plot. Could be your partner, your mum, your best mate at work. They worry about your colon, your heart, your sanity. Maybe they mock it, or maybe they just won't shut up about fiber. Whatever it is, it wears you down. And I know, because I've been there. You don't want to argue, you just want them to understand. So here's what I'm offering. You book a call, not for you, but for them. I'll speak to them directly, one-to-one on a video call, 60 or 90 minutes, just me and them. No lectures, no pressure, just calm, honest conversation with someone who lives the lifestyle, knows a thing or two about it, and actually gives a damn. Could be enough to put their mind at ease, could be enough to get them curious. Either way, you're not the one arguing anymore. There's a link below. Sessions are limited. I'm keeping this personal. So if someone in your life needs to hear it from someone else, let me explain.